Hey, how's it going? So we're gonna start. We're gonna go through our two scenarios here, and we're going to determine the best way to back up. It looks like with scenario one, we have a low cost. We don't have the extra disk space to spare, and he just wants to back up to at least each night. It's okay if something goes bad during the day, but we want to just be able to back up each night. And then we also have the chief of information here for the worldwide importers, and he wants to be able to back up consistently, making sure that there is no data loss at all and money isn't quite the issue because of the growth. So obviously we handle these two differently. With scenario one with Carl, it would probably best be working with the transition logs. This way we're not doing like an entire backup, but we just basically back up the files that were altered, and we can take a flash drive basically at the end of each night and just upload that backup to that. In the event of needing to back up, right here, we just pull the flash drive and then go to our tasks and actually restore that database using those logs right there. So that's kind of my recommendation there, and it just has to be a nightly thing. We keep the disk space to a minimum. Obviously we can go ahead and do that. Easy restore, and we're done, and we're set with there. Obviously, if we weren't talking about databases, and not using the backup command, which I think we're wanting to stay in that area, it would probably be smarter to create a small RAID redundant array. Obviously there's some cheap alternatives there where you could uh, bring online maybe like a little NAS server or something like that. That might be a little bit better, but if we're absolutely wanting to use zero money here, find a spare flash drive, back up every night with the transition logs. That being said, the CIO is a little bit different. Once again, in this situation, it would be way better to create, work on redundant, creating several redundant servers in different locations that will be able to copy that data in case of any corruption anywhere. This is in my head a little bit more of a better scenario, but if we're wanting to use the backup log based off the server log, we would do the same thing. We would want to create a transition log with a growing, that would basically keep growing, and we would want to do this, depending on how concerned, we could do this every hour. Actually, you'd have to be careful with like usage of when you'd want to do it, but in that instance, if we ever do have a full shutdown, obviously I would say the RAID, several different servers would be a better move, and that way you can just back up that way and pull the data based off of those backups. But you could just create a standard backup that would activate every 1 hour, and then you just kind of keep up on that transition log every time. Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends. I guess you could do 30 minutes. Every 30 minutes, it does a backup of the database. And then after like a week, you could dump the excess and get rid of whatever excess backups you don't need in your log. But in this instance, we do the same thing. Once something goes off, one of those servers goes down, we go to the server, we go to the backup logs itself. And oops, sorry, I'm not doing it. And we restore just like we did with the other one. So restore database right here, and go ahead. Restore databases. Version successfully. Cool. Anyways, those are our two options. I'm not sure if we were supposed to go somewhere more complicated than that, but one of them utilizes more disk space and you create a more consistent backup, and the other one is more of just a nightly thing where you're going to dump that information onto a flash drive and you're going to need to rotate that every single day and constantly move that through. The other one, basically you can kind of let it sit for a while, but eventually you're going to need to sort through that because you don't want your transition logs to get too long, or you don't want to have too many backups that are having useless information. So that's kind of the move there. Anyways, hopefully that sets well for the two scenarios, what you would want to do in those two situations, but hopefully this works out. So all right.